Is my mic muted? It's not. Excellent. It's yay! It's a Quaranniversary. We've been at it for a year now, which is weird to think about. And for what it's worth, it happened. So I felt obligated to uh, dip back into the mailbag, which is now goes back to February 16th. So some of these may have a little bit of mold on them. Empty this out, and then something special. I was going to do a year recap of maybe good news, or at least fun things I've had since I'm going no places. I played a lot of video games, or as many as I could, and I was going to look back at the ones I liked. I think I'm going to start there. So let's go over to this. Did I do this right? I think I did. Oh man, technology. All right, so I started organizing my Steam library into things I at least try to play in a given month. Many of these things, like you'll see a lot of games in some months, and some of them I played for either 0 minutes or like 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and some I sunk my teeth into and played a bunch. But I was going to go month by month and pick a winner for my favorite game from each month for the past year. So let's go to April. April didn't have a whole lot on the plate. There was these three and only these three. This is like right after quarantine started, but I was pretty glad to have RA3 and Street Rage 4 come out because those are actually both really really good. Alien Isolation I played for how much did I play this for? 100 minutes. I'm shocked I put that much time into this game because I hated it and I'm never gonna play it again. Um, but between these two, the remake of RE3 or the fourth of the Streets of Rage series, I think I have to go with Streets of Rage 4 based really on the odds of me playing it again. And it's something I could play with friends without them owning a copy of the game. And the soundtrack is like I listen to songs from the soundtrack just like as music because it's great. So, month of April, 2020-04 goes to Streets of Rage 4. For May, oh man, I know I did not actually beat a lot of these, like Jurassic Park, 38 minutes. I don't even remember this game. Oh, this is like the WarioWare clone. 6 minutes. Um, but this is when I started to like try to. I think this is when I bought a Humble Bundle subscription thing, and I started getting like a bunch of games per month, like Warsaw and 2 Point Hospital. Um, Horus was on there, and then some of them are just like Steam sale things. But I think out of this bunch, um, ooh, yeah, it's Shovel Knight. I was gonna say I probably had the like I started to try I tried to start a video game book club like thing where I was like, all right, me and a bunch of friends on on Discord, let's all play a game and then come together and talk about it like a book club. And Stanley Parable was the one and only meeting of that club. But we had some fun discussions about the Stanley Parable. It was great. Broken Age is a point and click adventure. Coffee Talk is I'm not sure what people call these. Some like just narrative games. I liked it. It was fun. It was like took place in a weird like Seattle, but like there's like fantasy species there. Like there's you know demons and orcs and all sorts of things. Dog Sled Saga. I barely remember this. I think I would have liked this more if I was in a different point in my life when I could actually do things like raise dogs, like Pokemon. That sounds fun. Horus was a platformer that just dragged on way too long. This is Jurassic Park thing that's like a Sim City that for whatever reason I just didn't get into. Portal 2, I don't know why. I played Portal 2 years ago. And I guess I felt like I should play it again. Shovel Knight is just a terrific platformer with old graphics and a great soundtrack. Stanley Parables, another one of those like sort of narrative games, but it's asks interesting questions, like a narrator's dictating what you're doing, and what if you don't do what the narrator tells you to. Stories Untold is sort of a, I don't know, it's just a lot of narrative games. I was in the mood for just like short narrative games where it's a horror game. I don't want to spoil it. I'd actually recommend it if you ever see it for cheap for like a couple of bucks. But the first one is you sit down at an old busted computer that is like an old like text command horror game. 2 Point Hospital is another like Sim City kind of thing. Warsaw was took place in it's well more like, so you're in the city of Warsaw, and you are like a resistance fighters, and you're like sort of assembling your team. If I remember right, I kind of like fell out of it because eventually I got to a point where I kind of understood how to sort of like assemble the best team, and then I went out and just wrecked anything I ran into, which is, I don't think was supposed to be the point of the game. Like, you know, that's not the takeaway from war is not like, oh, it's easy when once you have the right team together. So kind of fell out of that. June. Oh, I got a, not a humble bundle, but there's like some, it was on like itch.io. They gave away like 800 games for $10. And so a lot of these are just like executables, like A Short Hike. I'm not sure why it says Zero Time. I played it. And it was fantastic. Honestly, this has some heavy hitters in it, like Grim Fandango, Full Throttle. Those are like old. These are remastered point and click adventures. Seventh Guest is not that great, but I have a soft spot in my heart for it. Hellblade, how much did I play? I don't remember this. 14 minutes. I do not remember this game. I remember Blue Faces and I remember Whispers. But I was apparently doing a lot of point and click adventure and narrative stuff. Gone Home was really good. Beginner's Guide was good until like the very, very end. And then the Oberdin. This was a masterpiece in my opinion. Return of the Oberdin was incredible, and the fact that it was a person that made it is even more incredible. Lucas Pope made that, and it would be my winner for best game of June, which is saying a lot because like Grim Fandango's in here. That's a big deal. Oh my goodness, I was in point and click adventure Full Throttle now. So some of these are older. Toonstrucks, Sanitarium, Phantasmagoria, Phantasmagoria 2. Putt Putt Goes to the Moon was my first exposure to Putt Putt. Dark Side Detective, Ancient A, all these are point-click adventure games, except for Outer Wilds. A friend of mine just bought me that and said, like, do you know anything about this game? I said, no. He's like, okay, don't look it up. Just play it. And I guess I don't know. If you already know what the game's about, then it's already too late. But I didn't. And it was actually really fun to not know anything about that game and just play it cold. Yeah, it was a lot of this was just like going back and looking at the history of point and click adventure games, which became a very big part of quarantine for me. It's almost like a literature review. Just to see, because some of these are almost as old as the genre. Like, what's the oldest one here? I guess Putt Putt would be the oldest one here. Some of these are like full. These are really, I guess these aren't super old ones. Like the beginnings would be like Grim Fandango and Full Throttle, as one of some of the bigger ones that were around back in the day. Some of these are very adult, just so you know, and some of them have disturbing topics, and some of them are just dumb. Phantasmagoria is dumb. Phantasmagoria 2 is like, essentially, like if it was a movie, it'd have an R rating, and a lot of it's dumb. They in like a B movie kind of way. Toonstruck stars Christopher Lloyd, which is hilarious. Uh, Seeing him try to take that, well, I guess he didn't take it seriously, which is why his acting is questionable. Um, but to pick a winner from this month, or Orbit already won, so I'm not gonna pick it. Um, I think I go with Outer Wilds, uh, under the assumption that you actually play it, not knowing anything about it. If you already know like the story and all the twists and turns, it's not probably won't be as fun. Um, a Normal Lost Phone was good. It was another one of those narrative driven games that also has a twist. Or basically, it's just good to go in cold, not knowing what the story's about. Still lots of point and click adventure. Now I'm getting games from my kids. Um, and spoilers: the winner of this will be Putt Putt goes or saves the zoo, because I think that is, oh my god, my kids play this a lot. Although a lot of these hours, a lot of these 22 hours are like I turned it on and they played for like 30 minutes and then they walk away and I'm going to turn it off. They're like, no, no, no. I paused it. Like, oh, okay, sure. Well, this will be on all night. Um, there's Freddy Fish and Putt Putt from the Humongous Entertainment Company, and Spy Fox that was by them too. Some newer stuff. Inside was a really good. Even it, I mean, I guess there's like puzzles, but it was very much a narrative driven thing. So it was Firewatch was a narrative driven game. They had Tentacles was a remastered classic point and click adventure game. Too Dark was a game that I played. How long did I play this? Yeah, 20 minutes, and then I remember being really disturbed by it. And I was like, I don't think I need to play a game like this for very long. Kathy Rain's a modern point and click adventure. Same with Thimbleweed Park. They were a lot of fun, but Putt Putt wins August with an honor. I got the runner up would be Day of the Tentacle, because it contains Maniac Mansion, and I really liked. I think I may have played more Maniac Mansion than Day of the Tentacle. So for where are we at? September. I guess I was still playing Thimbleweed Park, still picking up new Putt Putts. I got Golf with Friends from Humble Bundle, although I never successfully golfed with a friend. I tried. I really did. I guess I didn't try that hard. 77 minutes. So I spent an hour playing Monkey Island once, and then for whatever reason, it just didn't hook me. And I think I was still playing Thimbleweed Park at the time. And I need to go. I need to go back. I need to let's add this to. Oh, this month is almost over. All right, well, we'll put it on this month. Got to get back to it. River City Ransom Underground. Did I play this at all? 9 minutes? Okay. Spy Fox. Silly, fun, shapeshift detective. I played it one time, and I found out I got the worst possible ending in a choose your own adventure setting. That was a little depressing. Out of this month, this is actually not a super awesome month. I guess I'd go with Thimbleweed Park, but that's a game I'm probably not going to play again. Yeah, I guess I would win. I liked it. It was a game I'm probably not going to revisit. Maybe I'll play like one other time. October. Not a ton of games here, and more putt putts. Fatty Bear. Fatty Bear was the first from Humongous. In terms of children point and click adventure games. Balloonorama. I don't think that wasn't actually a full game. That was just like a. Yeah, that's just like an activity game almost. Gridiron, a free football game. Footsies, a cheap, very, very simple fighter. Contradiction, a full motion video, like crime solving game that I started and then got out of, and I need to get back to because I kind of liked it. Dropsy, the point and click hug adventure, which is like a weird. I don't know. How long did I play this one? For half hour. I just remember not super liking it, but it's something I could potentially get back into. Oh my god, November. This was, oh yeah, this was the month of, is your game beatable in 90 minutes or less? Like all these games are super duper short. And this is when I started the Blackwell series. So there's a company whose name is escaping me right now that made all the Blackwell games. And it's like a series of 5 games that follows multiple generations of detectives that have ghost friends, or like a ghost friend that actually goes between multiple generations of a family. It was really good. Um, Football game. How long was this? An hour. Yeah. Short games. Lydia, 52 minutes. A lot of these were just adventure games. Some of them were puzzle games, like Please Don't Touch Anything. You're just trapped in a room with a button, and then the console just keeps like expanding in weird ways, and you have to find like all the different ways to end the Earth. We Were Together was a co-op game that I actually need to ping that friend again and play again. Yuppie Psycho, I don't really remember. I think you're like, you go into a weird office building and then it becomes like a Japanese horror movie. Return of the Phantom was an old point and click adventure. Smile for Me was like a walk around, kind of like a point and click adventure, like first person point and click. Goose Game, you play as a goose. That's basically the story of that. The standouts, McPixel, I remember. I very rarely request refunds, but I was like, I don't think I need this game in my life. But I played it for 11 minutes, and I'll let the developer have my money. But for this, I think the standout from this bunch, that's hard. It's probably going to be Blackwell Unbound. That was my favorite of the series. Even though it's not really mechanically, it's kind of but I liked that game a lot. Blackwell Unbound. Was that November? December. So this is me finishing the Blackwell series. And then, oh my god, so many of these are like, I'm still in the short game mode. Although Valhalla is not a short game. That's like a 9-hour game. Primordia, that's not terribly short either. But yeah, I was finishing the Blackwell series. I tried to get back into Bastion. For whatever reason, I just could never get into that game. Florence is a... Actually, how long was it? I feel like this is less than an hour, but I try to get other people to play it. This is another narrative game. It's incredibly sweet. If you see it for a couple of bucks and just want like an hour-long, short story essentially told through nothing but visuals and interactions. I think it's even language independent. It's really great. Headlander. Oh, that's from Double Fine. I don't think I really got into that. No, tried it for a half hour. Little Acre. This is an interesting one. This is a really short game that felt like it was almost like a gigantic budget game that just ran out of money. Like some of the animations are amazing, and then it just felt like it just stopped. Like it was a game just ended. And I kind of wish there was more of it. Mushroom Cats is like, I would say like 4.5 of these hours are my daughter. She loves Mushroom Cats. Shiva. I may not be pronouncing that right, but it is about from the same people the same person really that made the Blackwell series, made one about a Jewish rabbi. I think is redundant, but a rabbi who actually sets out to solve a murder. But the standout from this month. What was Crown of Leaves? Oh, that's that was hard to get that one. I have a friend who I think would like this one. But from this month, oh man, is it Valhalla? The bartender game was okay. It's so Valhalla and what was it, like Cyber Bartender Valhalla and Coffee Talk are basically the essentially the same, almost the exact same kind of game, just in different settings. One's in a coffee shop, one's in a bar. Um, but well, okay, I know what the worst game of the month was. That was Message Quest. I hated this game, even though I beat it because I was good. I wanted to be able to say that I hate it definitively, and I felt like it's such a short game. I'll give it a fair shake and go all the way to the end. I hated this game. But the best one of the month. Oh, it's either Blackwell Epiphany or Florence, I think. Although I don't know why Putt Putt Saves the Zoo is here, because Putt Putt Saves the Zoo is amazing. Shadowgate the remake was. I think I'm gonna give it to Florence. Florence. Yeah, I think I'll give it to Florence. It was short, and I think that's a game that I'd actually would recommend. Like still want need to get my wife to play that at some point. Just if you, it's a game. If anyone's like, should I try it? Like, yes. If you see it on sale, for sure. January. I guess I was in a horror mood. Song of Horror, Harvester. Harvester was. I don't know why that game is. I don't know why the nostalgia is there for that game after playing it. It was like if people set out to like, games are controversial, and like the developers of what was it, Night Watch, Night Shift, Night Trap, I think is the name, had to go before Congress. Let's make a game that's nothing but purposely controversial things for, and that's it. That's just the whole game, and the plot actually ends up making essentially zero sense. Song of Horror was pretty good. It was like a Resident Evil ish kind of game, and I liked how it was split into episodes that were essentially like self-contained. Not Tonight, You're a Bouncer, that was fun. Frog Detective was a short game, but I think I would appreciate this more as I think like like an 8 or 9 year old, just in terms of the lack of mechanics and the simplicity of it. I think would like that more. And then did I play the soccer game? Footlow. Oh yeah, this is one where you like lay mines and it's like nonsense soccer. Rainy Day Pandemic. You're a pizza driver. I think I bought this game because the name of the studio was the name of my daughter. So I think I was like, they deserve a couple of bucks. And then Red Dead 2, after all this time, I finally gave it a try. And I really got into it. It hooked me because I think because I was in the pandemic, like being able to go out as a cowboy and just go out to a bar, like you'd be surprised at how many times I just went to a bar and sat and behaved myself and did nothing wrong in this game, because that was the fun part for me, because that was denied. I was denied that in the real world. February, I guess wow, I must have I don't know when I put these 9 minutes in, but it took me 2 months to do it. Some of these I don't even remember. Did I play The Suicide of Rachel Foster? I have not. Did I play Runaway? No. 9 minute. Okay. Well, hard to say much about these. And did I pick a winner from this month? I can't remember. Oh, Red Dead would be the winner from that month. From this month. Oof. So Void Breach is like on purpose retro point and click adventure. Monster Prom, did I play this? I did not. Guess I bought it. Oh, this must have been when like the winter sale was or something. This game is essentially you solve puzzles by programming, which is always fun. But I guess I just was not in the mood to just open up a video game and then continue to work. Because you are actually, like, in the game, you are at a job. At least in the first half hour, you're at a job. So Still there is another like a kind of like a escape room sort of thing, but you're on a spaceship. I remember liking it. I don't know why I didn't finish it. Jenny LeClue was pretty good, although it's another game that just seems like it just kind of stops at a certain point. And then Blood Rage is the digital version of a board game of the same name. Man, this is a rough month. Barely played anything. I guess Jenny LeClue. I don't know, but in terms of games I'll ever play again, probably Blood Rage. Yeah. All right. March. So, that's the March that we're in. So I got these Batman games. We're on Humble Bundle, and I'm trying to get back into Contradiction, and I need to play Ghost in the Pool for more than a minute, and Monster Prom, and that thing, and that thing, and that thing. So this is like, when I have free time, what do I open? But I will say the Batman thing was pretty fun. Winner of March, Batman game. And I haven't finished the second one. I'm like halfway through it. But first Batman game, you win. So we have Streets of Rage 4. What one from here? Oh, Shovel Knight. Oberdin. What did I say one from this month? Outer Wilds. Yep. And then Putt Putt Saves the Zoo. I don't remember what one from here. Thimbleweed? Yeah, Thimbleweed. Did I pick a winner from this? I don't remember if I did. Gridiron. If I did, I change it. It's Gridiron now. From this one. Oh yeah, Blackwell Unbound. From this one, Florence. From this one, Red Dead. From this one, Blood Rage and Batman. And if I had to pick a winner for the best game from quarantine, that would be, where'd he go? Return of the Oberdin. That was like, that game inspires both ambition and extreme envy, because that person did an amazing job considering how few resources they had. They did all the music, they did all the graphics, they did all the programming. It's just a renaissance person. It was incredible. Absolutely incredible. So what's next? Oh, we need to do mailbag. Mailbag. Where's the mailbag thing? That's not it. That's it. All right, let's get through this. All right, from February 16th. When would you say is a good time to call it quits for the day and when you're stuck on something? For example, spend almost 6 hours stuck on 2 ECS 510 problems. I'm starting to think my time's best spent elsewhere. When should I call it quits for the day? How do I deal with the immediate surge of anxiety that follows that I will never complete said assignment? I mean, there is. I think the anxiety will go away when you walk away from a problem enough. Like, you walk away from enough problems enough times, and you see yourself actually, like, whether it be like you sleep on it or whatever, and coming back to it, and it's like, oh yeah, actually stepping away and coming back is great. I'm not going to try to do armchair, what is it? I was going to say brain science, neurology. But the brain needs rest, just like you. It's like, if you're worried about, like, I need to get more muscles, and if I stop lifting weights, I get tired and I need to stop lifting weights, but I feel like I don't have enough muscles yet. It's like, sometimes the body needs rest in order to repair itself, and you come back later and do it again. So when's enough? I don't know. I felt myself just kind of lock up mentally. And sometimes I need to step away, and it's not necessarily like to go sleep on it. It's just like to not look at the problem, like go for a walk or whatever, and let kind of cheat a little bit and let my subconscious mull it over while my consciousness does something else. But I wouldn't feel any like I think it's a good strategy to step away from a problem that you're stuck on. If you have the option just to like, try to, even if you're just saying what you understand out loud to someone else, just to kind of get like interrupted if they ever say like, oh no, hang on, actually it doesn't work like that. That can be great too. But if it's causing frustration and then your thoughts are leading to a point where you're more thinking about how like it's like, oh, I'm dumb and I'm not good at this stuff. If your mind's going that way, just walk away for a while. Just back away. Just back away. Oh, sweet things. You're such a personable, knowledgeable, funny person. Have you ever thought about writing a book about your experience and life lessons? Not really. I have not. Thanks for being a great teacher and inspiration to many budding CS students. You are welcome. That is very kind. But I have not thought about writing a book. Maybe I'll write a point-and-click adventure game someday. How do you approach credit, no credit? Is it okay? Oh, sorry. And this is all from February. This one's from February 21st. Is it okay if it's only a couple? Got an email around the beginning of the semester talking about it, and the message I got was, damned if you do, damned if you don't. I mean, it's there basically as, so your GPA isn't impacted by the extremeness of the pandemic. So if you're going to get a B or a C and that negatively impacts your GPA, then credit, no credit's there. But, just having credit on your transcript during a pandemic, I would feel like, recruiters and businesses would have a hard time explaining why they would like look negatively on that, when basically it was like, as far as I know, like the university was just kind of doing it as a means of, just acknowledging the extreme situation everyone was in. So yeah, I would basically use it if it can avoid negatively impacting your GPA. But again, you sort of have to, if it's like an A or a B, I just take the A or B, because that's, again, credit hours with a 3.0 or better locked in. Did I actually grab the next one? Let's see here. In this online, this is from February 22nd. Is that right? 22nd? In this online COVID format, I feel like it is too easy for students to cheat, and there is no way for the professor to completely block off all methods for cheating while being respectful and aware of COVID complications and the need for remote hybrid formats. That being said, I feel discouraged by the amount of cheating going on. It makes me feel like I am at a disadvantage when I take an exam or do assignments honestly without cheating. What do you suggest in this scenario? One, you're not the sucker for doing it honestly. Long term, you're going to be much better off because you actually put in the time to learn the stuff. And if you didn't get, perfect score, or even if you got like a C or something, that just means that you figured out where the shortcomings in your understanding are. Whereas the people who go straight to Chegg or whatever, they learn nothing. And if they end up with a better grade than you now, that is like they basically are, it's like they are just like slamming all the treats right now. But and before too long, like when they get to upper level classes or, God help them, whenever they go out for an interview, they're going to be in bad shape. They're going to be in really bad shape. So don't feel like a sucker for just taking a class honestly. But cheating's been rampant. It's been rampant, and I've sort of have given up trying to fight the arms race with like, I don't want to be the professor. It's like, all right, you have to have a camera on you and a camera on your paper and a camera that pans around the room 360 degrees so that I know no one else is in the room while you're taking an exam. I just don't want to get into that arms race. I'd rather just appeal to the decency inside of a person and remind them that they're at a school to learn a thing And that's what they're paying for, not just to get a grade and get out the door, because eventually someone interviewing them is going to be able to figure out that they're full of crap. Follow-up questions to the physics questions, where you vented about being mad in physics. Oh, yes. Okay, yes, I remember this. So you studied and got grades you didn't like compared to other people who got good grades. Okay. Um, that's true. I could not. Okay, so you gave a couple examples how you couldn't learn how to play the piano and how some people can just can't do something no matter how hard they try. Um, that wasn't the message I was trying to get across. Just that some things come more naturally to others, but I don't want to say like I tried playing the piano for like one semester, and then it's like, nope, not for me. But I don't think that this is the same thing as saying like if you try something and it's hard, you just shouldn't even try. But could you clarify what this means for other questions at large? Yeah, so it's like basically some things are going to come more naturally, more quickly for some people. And if you're met with obstacles, that doesn't mean, you know, you're not meant to do it. It's really just a matter of, is it something you have to do, or at least hopefully something you can find some enjoyment in? Then that's usually the motivation to keep going. Like how I'm majoring in CS. If I'm struggling too much, does that mean I'm not fit? No, it just means So I have two different UGTFs that took 268. They both got D's the first time, and they gave it their all. Like they really just, they tried. They really tried, and they just, for whatever reason, it didn't click. Second time around, they crushed it. Got A's. Then they became teaching assistants for the course. And then they did really great in all their CS courses after that. And one is at Garmin and one is at Google. And so like I would imagine at the time, that's basically like a year of their lives where like, a class was this huge looming shadow that just reminded them of how they did not succeed, but they just kept throwing in effort and like trying to figure out like, what don't I understand? Why doesn't this make sense? Like, what is preventing this from clicking for me? Okay, plot twist. I didn't see this paragraph. Plot twist. If I'm still single at my mid-20s, at what point should I just give up and realize I'm not meant to have a partner the same way you weren't able to play the piano? Never give up on connecting with another person. Never give up on that. Like, playing the piano is at least for me, was not like essential for me to just be happy as a human being. But don't give up on this ambition. Like, finding a human connection can take a while. It can, but that's not something to give up on. That's more important to being a human being than being able to play the piano or program or paint or whatever. That's just finding the right human to connect with. What courses teach? Oh, this is from February 25th. What course teaches over web server scripting and server-side programming? Officially none. There's pieces of this stuff in a bunch of different courses. So you learn some JavaScript in 368. You learn databases. You learn client server-side stuff in software engineering. But we don't just have a web class. This is from March 2nd. And the beginning of this sounds familiar. What time would you say is a good time to give up and come back to a program later? See earlier answer. But this is about a 468 project. Whoop. Let's see here. We got this is from March. Every exam since COVID-19 started has been posted to Chegg. I hate Chegg. Chegg is bad. Oh my god. Chegg is a multi-billion-dollar company that's profiting off of students in a pandemic. I loathe that company. Anyway, Should I report it to my professor? I would recommend you do. I know, like, basically almost no one ever tells on anyone else. They just say, like, there's cheating, and they don't actually point to anyone. And you'd be surprised how uncooperative Chegg can be when it comes to this kind of stuff, which is another reason why I'm not just terribly big fan of theirs. Well, they think of me negatively for. I would not. If you ever reported cheating, I'd be like, thank you for reporting cheating. Part of me also doesn't care because everyone's using it and just trying to pass. It doesn't affect me. It sort of does. It sort of does. Not doesn't affect you directly, no, but it does sort of. And again, like this isn't. You don't have to like take this as like your responsibility to report, like prevent all cheating like some sort of superhero. But just so you know, like you know, if you're a student and everyone else in the class is cheating, then one that just kind of screws up. If there was going to be a curve, that screws up the curve. I know there's not curves in my classes, but like for any class there would have been a curve in, all that is now skewed, and that's like just one immediate effect. Down the road, you're going to be a part of a graduating class with a bunch of like bums when it comes to like just talent, and you know you hopefully would have still put in the work, and you will probably do great in like interviews, and that's fantastic. But in the super long term, honestly, I think there's going to be years of recruiters saying like, this graduating class of students is just bad. We're gonna kind of trim down our offers to incoming hires and not give incoming, people as the positions that we normally would, or like, we're gonna lean more heavily by looking at like their performance and internships as opposed to grades. Like it could. I'm not saying any of those things have happened. I'm just saying like recruiters could catch on to like just the quality of students coming out of universities in about for the next 3 years, right? Because there's basically like a year of courses that like if like the seniors that are graduating now cheated their last year, okay, then they'll be the first graduating class to be like Chegg students, and then the juniors, and then the sophomores. I guess 4 years. It's like this entire wave of students could be affected, and the students who like basically thought they were getting by easy by using Chegg for a year, I think that's gonna catch up to them, and hopefully it doesn't catch up to the whole class. Oh god, what's this? Thoughts on getting past test homework solutions from upperclassmen. Also thoughts on getting help from Chegg. Not a fan of Chegg. Like the fact that Chegg, for whatever reason, it really irks me that Chegg is a paid thing. I think that makes that makes me bothered by it more. That they want to profit off your desperation. That I kind of resent. That they want your money in exchange for the service as opposed to having any interest in just like giving you knowledge, which I realize like, hey professor, we pay tuition, you jerk. I get that, but it is literally like they want to like the motivation for charging you, especially in the last year. It's like, oh, all these kids are super desperate because schools are scrambling to figure out how to do this whole online thing, and we can basically profit off of their needs, and that bugs me in like such a particular way. Like the argument could be made that like just the idea of a university is very predatory, which by the way I'm actually kind of on board with. Just universal education. Like I don't like Ivy League schools kind of bug me in the same vein, but that bugs me like the prestige of going to an Ivy League school is like, ooh, okay, well eventually like math is just math, isn't who cares like where you learned it, if you learned it in Kansas or you learned it in some fancy Ivy League school. But like the fact that Chegg is charging you to basically undermine your whole education, and then just like basically like, here's a solution, no actual real permanent knowledge, just here's this ad hoc solution that has like the most bizarre, I've seen the most bizarre code come out of there, like just the most random stuff that actually doesn't solve the problem. Like sometimes we catch students not because their code's like too good or anything, but it's like they seem to have like written a solution for a different lab and they still charge you. That stinks. Anyway, well, if there's no TA, well, I can say that there's no TA and teacher is unhelpful and no one else to work with. I mean, that I hope you're not actually in that desperate of a situation. Like if a class is actually going like that, that super stinks. I mean, honestly, I like, you if we're trying to like actually find the line to draw, like to gerrymander the line around cheating, between cheating and okayness given some weird context. At the end of the day, you know when you're cheating. Every student knows in their heart of hearts when you're doing something wrong. And if you're walking away from a class without confidence in the material, without understanding in the material, you've robbed yourself of the whole reason you even signed up for the class. So, what is this? What is there a process of adding, removing classes from the required classes of a bachelor's degree? So, okay, so degree requirements, what's that like? The faculty decides that, and they can vote to change that. Like, can someone decide to take 510 off the required classes? Has ever happened before? Yeah, no, like the degree requirements change, I would say like every 5-ish years. Usually like a class or two gets added or removed, sometimes based on who's around to teach it. Sometimes, new classes get added. But it's really just up to the faculty. It's up to the faculty. March 13th. Oh my goodness. Where'd this thing go? There we go. How to find a balance between trusting in my own opinion on something and trusting another person's judgment on that same thing. If it's something that can be experimented upon and see the results of, that's easy. I see here. I'm usually on either end of both extremes. Only listen to myself without considering feedback from others, or double or. I see what you did there, CS student. Or have no faith in my own feedback and completely listen to someone else's. How can I find a balance? So it's like, how do you know to trust your gut? That's a hard question. How do you know when to trust your gut? I guess what I do is I usually just like take stock of everything that I know to be fact, and then see which of our two opinions fits the facts the best. And then that might be worth just like going with your gut a few times and seeing if it's right or not. And then that can sort of help you like learn like, oh, I probably shouldn't go with my gut on this because I'm always wrong when it comes to picking hors d'oeuvres at fancy restaurants, or picking which stall to go in first, because I always pick the most gross one. Okay, what's next? Is from 13th. Care to share who you voted for in this presidential election? I don't think I can legally. So I'll answer an unrelated question. I like science and a reality that is verified by just basic observation, experimentation. Never been a big fan of Nazis. But yeah, KU prevents me from, like, there's all sorts of policies about like what we're allowed to say on or around or about elections. So, but I don't think I said anything too controversial just now. Can you rate my catchphrase 0 to 10? Walks up to a group of people. Oh, look. It's the nerd herd. Rate it 0 to 10. I'll say it's somewhere in the middle. March 14th. What are your thoughts on the first few classes you take in college, like general ed, being free for anyone? I'm a huge fan of free education. I like that. And only start costing tuition once you get more specialized than one's major. This sounds great. Or never. If not for colleges and university community colleges. Yeah, I pour it on. Yeah. I this sounds like a very good idea to me. I like it. Hang on, this is a long one. Are there weird words in here? Is there anything not safe for work in this? Okay, I gave it a very quick skim. Let's see. Why the heck? Oh my gosh. Why the heck do people? Why the heck do they get the people with masters and PhDs to teach undergrad classes? Don't they have better things to do with, like, researching the cure for cancer, finding the answers to the universe? Okay, hang on, where's this going? I legitimately feel like you're too smart and you shouldn't be allowed to teach a subject. If you're too smart, you shouldn't be allowed to teach a subject. Teachers should be hired not on their expertise of the subject, but their ability to teach that subject. I would legitimately rather have a teacher who has just a bachelor's degree and got a C in the subject than someone who went to MIT and has a PhD in the subject. I mean, I guess like the whole university model is almost like kind of like apprenticeship things. Like, we know how to do a thing, and I'll teach you how to do a thing. But I mean, like, you make a point. Like, there is a difference between knowing a subject and understanding a subject and being able to teach a subject. Those are two very different things. But it. Imagine if the mathematicians and physicists, like, if Einstein never taught anyone else, and all that knowledge just sort of trapped in there, like that wouldn't be good. It's good to have a smart person have to explain a subject to someone else. It's both good for the student and it's good for the teacher. Like, they become better at conveying the information to another living person, which is important. It's important to be able to do that. But I can sense the frustration that you have, but it's I can tell you that it's probably not going to change anytime soon. You've talked how cheating has risen since COVID. I don't think you'll agree with my reasoning, but I can't wait for this. And I honestly mean that. I'm not ready to just blow you up. All right, but from my perspective, the people who cheat are those who feel there is no other way for them to do well. I would agree with that. Speaking personally, I feel I wouldn't cheat if the material was easy, for example, on an algebra test, but in something I don't understand, I've spent countless hours trying to understand and failing at it, I can understand the inclination. I guess my question is, what is the point? At what point, oh my goodness, is the student's fault for not putting in the effort and the teacher's fault for making the class too difficult? I'm not trying to justify cheating, but I feel these past semesters, some professors haven't been inclined to the needs of the students and just have carried on as usual. I'm just saying right now, I completely understand a person's inclination to cheat. Some professors are... Oh, naughty word. Naughty word. Hang on. There we go. Now it's a double pointer. All right. That sounds super painful. Double pointer down there. Woof. So, yeah, no, I mean the motivation. So I think there is there. This describes a group of students that I think there is a group of students that generally put in a ton of effort, and it just for whatever reason is not clicking, and they're like, deadlines are coming up, and it's like they basically have to make a decision. Like, sometimes the decision is, do I just fail this course and push graduation back a semester or a year, or do I turn to a resource that can just get me out of that class? And I think that describes a group of students. I think there's another group of students that basically see Chegg as like well, now I don't have to do anything. Like, basically, that is the first step. Where it's just like, all right, these things are on Chegg. Don't even have to go to the lab or read the lab or learn anything. I just Chegg, 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 to Chegg, Chegg, to Chegg. I think that's another group of students. And then I think there's another group of students that are somewhere in between. That, they put in a little bit of effort, but then they just kind of like get tired of putting in effort, and they're like, Chegg. So I think, basically it's on a scale. I mean, if you're asking me, is it ever okay to cheat? My answer has to be no. My answer has to be no. But do I at least understand where the motivation comes from? Yes. But I've just seen way too many students struggle and fail a thing, do the thing over again, and have incredible success. And I, I don't I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of to have to, take a class multiple times. I realize there's all sorts of things going on there. There's finances and timing, and you're out of sync with your friends and all that. But I've just seen too many people take a second crack at a thing, or third crack, or a fourth crack, and then for whatever reason it finally clicks. And once that like wall in their head gets broken and it just starts to make sense, basically every time it just feels like it just keeps piling on, and just like the next class is easier, the next class is easier, and the next class is easier. And again, like, not every situation plays out like that, of course, and sometimes there are teachers, like, this is not just a student bad, teacher good thing. There are teachers who are just not that great and unsympathetic, and are, they're double pointers. And as a former student, I made sure, like, I tried to figure out as quickly as I could in my undergrad which teachers teach the way I need to be taught, because that's different than like which are just the good teachers. But like I found I learned, like, my best way to learn was I just needed to go to every class. I took a lot of notes. I would go over those notes. The classes I did the worst in were like the teacher was like, all right, we don't have to do anything today, but here's an independent reading that you'll need to know before the semester's over. That was the kind of crap where I did the worst. So I tried to stay away from them. But yeah, I mean, I can't just say like, you know what, there are some cases where cheating's just fine. Go do it. Any shows you'd recommend? Nope. I got nothing. Got nothing. TV sucks. Hang on. What we got here? Would you consider doing more of these frequently when COVID is over? I've often felt there's a gap between the students and teachers, and mutual understanding that it often grows larger because of COVID, and this helps bridge that divide quite a bit. Generic example of what I'm talking about. Teacher makes me a test that is way harder than what the average student in that class can get a satisfactory score on. Honestly, I don't know if you want to hear that, but I think this is probably going to be the last one. I think this is the last Quarantalk. But I could have my mind changed. I'll keep an eye on the mailbag and see what happens. And then is this the last one? This is the last one. Not even going to read it. Just paste it in. A double star. I'm taking a class. And in that class, the book we were assigned talks about the algorithms that determines college ranking lists and how the universities take advantage of those algorithms to place higher on those lists. One example of that was colleges putting more money into recreational centers, adding pools, gymnasium. I feel like where this is going. This kind of just convinces me more that colleges is a scam. Shouldn't the only metric that matters be the graduation rate? Okay, well, hang on. If I'm not mistaken, at KU's, it's around 50-ish%. I am unsure. I think our department's higher than that, but I don't know. Instead of focusing on ways they can increase that percentage, the schools are more focused on what makes them more desirable on college rankings list. The implication just makes me really angry. Yeah, it's weird. There's a lot of things that take place at a national level that I've never really understood completely or been a fan of, like accreditation. I mean, I do like the idea of like some sort of governing entity verifying that a university is actually teaching you the things that they claim they're going to teach you, and like no one can just make a fake university. Also, unrelated question or answer to a previous question. But also, like, having gone through the accreditation process multiple times, it's like it just feels so weird. Like collecting samples of you know what like student work to prove that we are actually meeting the course outcomes that we've stated and things like that. It's always just felt like a bizarre process, and a lot of it's felt like busy work, but maybe it's like, come on already, we're KU, we're not a sham. But as for the rankings, I don't know what the algorithm is, but I know, at least from like a research standpoint, I know there's like certain metrics just about like the grant dollars going in and papers being published and that kind of stuff, which I think is good to at least acknowledge. I think any kind of ranking system usually lacks context. Like if KU puts out a certain number of papers, and MIT puts out a certain number of papers, that I don't know if that's necessarily an apples to apples comparison of just saying like that number's bigger than that number and that university's better. Because there's all sorts of things involved, like what was the cost to get the education, what sort of damage does it do on a person's physical body and mind to attend one university over the other. It's like like going like it's like comparing like like going on Double Dare and going to like boot camp in the Marines. Like, yeah, you climb up stuff in both, and it's like, no, I don't think those are exactly the same thing. I feel like the trauma one undergoes in one of those is significantly more. But yeah, there's a lot about universities that I can agree would be very frustrating to, especially because you're like, the students are one of the main sources of income, right? You're paying the tuition, and then it's like the money goes in, and then it's just kind of like, it's like, oh, I paid tuition, and now there's a new building for a major I'm not a part of going up over there. Like, what's with that? And like, oh, there's another building over there that's being torn down, and like, this is all very strange. But yeah, it's. I guess I'm not sure what the answer to the question is, other than I can sympathize with the frustration of these bizarre rankings and metrics that don't seem to really apply to what the goals of the university potentially should be. I'm not saying that I do not know if that is actually the way the algorithm works. I don't know, but I can see where the frustrations come in. Whew. Is that? Oh my God! It's over an hour. Well, I think that will be that. So we did it. What was the first question ever asked on this show? Why can't I scroll up any faster? There we go. Oh, first question that was ever asked. Here, we'll put this one in. So a year ago, the first question was, what's the main reason you decided to be a professor by staying in industry versus staying in industry? Is it better pay, hours, quality of life? Second, who is really suited for being a professor? I asked someone who's interested. So that's where we started. And goodness gracious, I can't believe that was a year ago. It'll get better. Just hang in there, everybody. We're almost out of this. Probably by the time I do another one of these, you'll have your vaccine, because I don't crank these out in a very, very fast order anymore. So go play some games. Go be kind to another person. Be kind to yourself. And if you need me, I'll be around. If you're watching this, you obviously know where to find me. So here's to this time next year not being in a quarantine. Cheers.